and greatest common factors. Factors. The definition of a factor. Factors are integers. You multiply together to get another integer. Example. What are the factors of 6? 2 and 3 are factors of 6 because 2 times 3 equals 6. 1 and 6 are also factors of 6 because 1 times 6 equals 6. So the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. When finding the factors of a number, ask yourself, what numbers can be multiplied together to give me this number? Every number greater than 1 has at least 2 factors, because every number can be divided by 1 and itself. Example, what are the factors of 10? Think, what can be multiplied together to give me 10? 1 times 10, 2 times 5. The factors of 10 are 1, 2, and 5, and 10. 1, 2, 5, and 10. Even though 5 times 2 also equals 10, these numbers have already been listed, so we don't need to list them again. Example, Emilio needs to arrange cheers for a drama club meeting at school. There are 30 students coming. What are the different ways he can arrange the cheers so that each row has the same number of cheers? 1 row of 30 cheers, 2 rows of 15 cheers, 3 rows of 10 cheers, 5 rows of 6 cheers, 30 rows of 1 cheer. The factors of 30 are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. The product of each pair of numbers is 30. Here it says, this is the same as saying find the factor of 30. Here are some shortcuts to find an integer's factors. An integer is divided by 2 if it ends in an even number. Example, 10, 92, 44, 26, and 8 are all divided by 2 because they end in an even number. An integer is divided by 3 if the sum of its digits is divisible by 3. Here's another example. 42 is divided by 3 because 4 plus 2 equals 6, and 6 is divided by 3. An integer is divided by 5 if it ends in 0 or 5. Example, 10, 65, and 2,320 are all divided by 5 because they end with 0 or 5. An integer is divided by 9 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 9. Here's another example. 297 is divisible by 9 because 2 plus 9 plus 7 equals 18. And 18 is divisible by 9. An integer is divisible by 10 if it ends in 0. An integer is divisible by 10 if it ends in 0. Here's another example. 50, 110, and 31,330 are all divisible by 10 because they end in 0. Prime numbers. A prime number is a number that has only 2 factors, the number itself and 1. Some examples of prime numbers are 2, 3, 7, and 13. 2 is also only even prime number. 2 is also the only even prime number. Common factors. Any factors that are the same for 2 or more numbers are called common factors. Here's another example. What are the common factors of 12 and 18? The factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 12. The factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. The common factors of 12 and 18, factors that both 12 and 18 have in common, are 1, 2, 3, and 6. The largest factor that both numbers share is called the greatest common factor, or GCF for short. The GCF of 12 and 18 is 6. Here's an example. What is the GCF, greatest common factor, of 4 and 10? Factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4. Factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. So the greatest common factor, GCF, of 4 and 10 is 2. Yeah, it says here's another example. What is the greatest common factor, GCF, of 18 and 72? Factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Factors of 72 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 12, 18, 24, 36, 72. 18 is the GCF greatest common factor of 18 and 72. You can go on to the next chapter. Here it is a page to check your knowledge to see if you truly understand it. You can pause if you want to look at this page, but I'm going to move on to the next chapter. Chapter 5. Multiples and least common multiples. When we are multiplying a number by any whole number that isn't 0, the product is a multiple of that number. Every number has an infinite list of multiples. What are the multiples of 4? Let's see. 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. 4 times 3 equals 12. 4 times 4 equals 16. And so on forever. The multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, and 16. Any multiples that are the same for 2 or more numbers are called common multiples. Example, here's an example. What are our multiples of 2 and 5? The multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. The multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20. Up until this point, 2 and 5 have the multiples 10 and 20 in common. What is the smallest multiples that both 2 and 5 have in common? The smallest multiple is 10. We call this the least common multiple, or LCM. To find the LCM of 2 or more numbers, list the multiples of each number in order, from least to greatest, until you find the first multiple they both have in common. Here's another example. To find the least common multiple of 9 and 11. The multiples of 9 are 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 36, 72, 81, 99, 180. The multiples of 11 are 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, 110. 99 is the first multiple 9 and 11 have in common. So the LCM of 9 and 11 is 99. Sometimes it's easier to start with the bigger number instead of listing all the multiples of 9. First start with the multiples of 11 and ask yourself, which of these numbers is divisible by 9? Example, Susie signs up to volunteer at the animal shelter. Every 6 days, Louisa signs up to volunteer at the shelter. Every 5 days, if they both sign up to volunteer on the same day, when the first day that Susie and Louisa will work together. When is the first day that Susie and Louisa will work together? This is the same as saying find the least common multiple for 5 and 6. Susie will work on the following days: the 6th, the 12th, the 18th, the 24th, and the 30th. The 30th is the first number divisible by 5. So the least common multiple of 30. So the least common multiple is 30. The first day that Susie and Louisa will work together is on the 30th day. Here's a section to check your knowledge. It says, list the first 5 multiples of 3. Let's just move on to the next section, to chapter 6. You can go back if you would like to solve those problems, but I'm going to move forward. Chapter 6, fraction basics. Types of fractions, and adding and subtracting fractions. Fraction basics. Fractions are real numbers that represent a part of a whole. A fraction bar separates the part from the whole like so. Part whole. The part is the numerator and the whole is the denominator. For example, suppose you cut a whole pizza into 6 pieces and eat 5 of the pieces. The part you have eaten is 5, and the whole you started with is 6. Therefore, the amount you ate is 5. The numerator would be 5, and the denominator would be 6. If 3 people shared a pizza cut into 8 slices, each person would get 2 pieces, and 2 pieces would be left over. These leftovers, 2's, are called remainders. Remainder, part, quantity, or number left over after division. There are 3 types of fractions. Proper fractions. The numerator is smaller than the denominator. Improper fraction. The numerator is bigger or equal to the denominator. And mixed numbers. There is a whole number and a fraction. There's a whole number and a fraction. Okay, so it's converting mixed numbers and improper fractions. Remember, to change a mixed number into an improper fraction, you will first multiply and then add. To change the mixed number to an improper fraction, you must calculate 3 times 5 equals 15, and then add 1 so that the improper fraction is, the numerator would be 16 and the denominator 5. Add, multiply. To change an improper fraction to a mixed number, you divide the numerator by the denominator. Ask yourself, how many times does the denominator go into the numerator? What remainder do I have left over? Here's another example. To change the improper fraction, 23 numerator and 8 denominator to a mixed number, we calculate 23 divided by 8 equals 2. The R stands for remainder. 2 remainder 7. So the mixed number is there. The mixed number is, the denominator is 8, the numerator is 7, and there's a mixed number is 2. If you get an answer that is an improper fraction, always convert it into a mixed number for your final answer. Some teachers will take off points if you don't. Simplifying fractions. Something the numerator and denominator will have in common. Sometimes the numerator and the denominator will have common factors. You can simplify them by dividing the numerator, and the denominator by the greatest common factor. Some teachers will call this cross-reducing, simplifying, or canceling. Whatever you call it, it's a shortcut. Here's an example. The denominator 10 and the numerator 6 can be simplified to the numerator 3 and the denominator 5, because 2 is the greatest common factor of 6 and 10. See, it shows you. And here's another example. It says 20 can be simplified to numerator 20, denominator 8 can be simplified to the numerator 5 and denominator 2, because the greatest common factor of 20 is 4. So they give you another example. Adding fractions. If we want to add fractions together, the denominator must be the same. Here's an example. Numerator 1, denominator 5, plus numerator 3, denominator 5, equals numerator 4, denominator 5. In some, the denominator stays the same, and you add the numerator. For example, you have 2 identical candy bars, and you cut each into 5 pieces. You give your little brother 1 piece, and from the first candy bar, and you give your sister 2 pieces from the second candy bar. How much of a whole candy bar did you give away? You gave 1 of the 5 pieces to the first candy bar to your little brother. You gave 2 of the 5 pieces, the second candy bar, to your sister. Now add them together. The denominator stays the same, and you add the numerators, because both candy bars are the same size, because both candy bars are the same size and are cut into the same number of pieces. You keep the denominator as 5, and you add the numerators to get your answer. You can remember with this rhyme. Denominators the same, keep it in the game. Add up the top, simplify, and stop. Says Math is Delicious. Subtracting fractions. The same idea applies to subtraction, and denominators must be the same. The same applies to subtraction. The denominators must be the same. Both wholes must be the same size in order to subtract. Here's another example. It says here the denominator stays the same and you subtract the numerator. Adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators. In order to add or subtract fractions with different denominators, you just have to make their denominators the same. We can do that by finding the least common multiple of the denominators. How to add or subtract fractions with unlike denominators. Find the least common multiple of the denominators. Some teachers call this the least common denominator, or LCD for short. Here's an example. The least common multiple of 5, 4 is 20. Convert the numerators. Some teachers call this remaining the numerators. 5 times what the number equals 20. 4. So 5 times what the number equals 20. 4. So you must multiply the numerators by 4 to convert the numerator. 4 times what the number equals 25. So you must multiply the numerators by 5 to convert the numerator. Add or subtract and simplify if necessary. Here's another example. It says here the least common multiple of 7 and 3 is 21. Here's some check your knowledge questions if you would like to look at that.